often do people actually give you an evaluation after you have a conversation with them? Almost never. Unless you're at work, people almost never give you an evaluation over the conversation you had with them. When you go out with your friends for brunch, or when you meet somebody new, at the end of the conversation, do they tell you, "You did a great job. I really liked your energy"? No, they don't. Which leaves you to kind of go into your head and think, does this person like me? These conversations can leave you feeling really awkward. Like, am I boring? Did I talk enough? Did I not talk enough? Did I overstep that boundary by asking that question? I'm here to tell you, no, you did not. And they most likely enjoyed the conversation a lot more than you think. And I have the studies to prove it. According to Yale and Harvard University, they did a study and they found that people actually like you a lot more than you think. And they call this the liking gap. They started to collect data from community members of all ages and ethnicities and genders. And they were instructed to have a 5-minute conversation. After the 5-minute conversation, they sent each participant to a private room and they were all asked to complete a survey. And they were asked about 8 questions. How much they liked the conversation that they had with their partner. And then the other 4 questions were how much they thought the participant liked them, or how much they thought their participant enjoyed the conversation. After a brief conversation with people, significantly underestimated how much others liked them. In short, this provided evidence of the liking gap. They also found that the more shy you are, the greater the liking gap is, because typically people who are shy don't really express how much they actually like the person. They're very just kind of shy and to themselves. And a lot of times people cannot tell if their conversation partner actually liked them because a lot of people don't really express that. And we call this the no signal account. You could be having a conversation with someone and you might think, yeah, like I'm really enjoying this conversation. I'm having a good time. And you could be looking at them like this. Do you think I'm having a good time? Probably not. But I probably am having a good time having a conversation with you. I'm probably just listening to you. Resting bitch face. But like if I'm like this, then you're like, okay, she's enjoying this conversation. But here's the thing, I could be enjoying the conversation both times. It's just I'm not giving those signals. However, there are some people who give plenty of signals that they like you, whether that be eye contact, they're laughing, they're smiling, they're really engaged in the conversation. But you're so focused on yourself and what to say next in the conversation that you completely ignore, or you just don't notice that they're expressing interest in you. And we call this the neglected signal account. They even kept track of college roommates throughout the year. They checked in with them at 5 points throughout the year and asked them, how much do you like your roommate? And how much do you think your roommate likes you? And as you can see, consistently, people think that the other person likes them less than they like the other person. And there was also another study that backed this up, and this was the liking gap in groups and teams. And this gap was even worse. On average, people tend to think that they are the least liked in each group setting. Now, you might be asking, why does the liking gap even exist in the first place? Here's why. People tend to only be focused on their own thoughts and actions. And people tend to be very highly critical of their own performance. And this stops them from thinking clearly when it comes to having conversations with other people. Think about this. Let's say you're doing a presentation. You've prepped for this presentation. You've stood in front of your family members and recited the script over and over and over again. And you're like, okay, I got this. I feel confident. I know the script, let's do this. And then you get in front of everyone. You get in front of all these people to present and you don't say it the same way you did when you were practicing. Now you're all in your head and you're like, I did not do a good job. I did better when I was practicing in the living room by myself or when I was practicing in the mirror. But now that when I got in front of everyone else, I didn't do as good. It's a lot easier to pinpoint your conversational mistakes when you were the only one who knew that you made a mistake. We tend to have higher standards for ourselves than others do for us. A lot of times it's very easy for you to recall your conversational mistakes because you're the only person who can read your mind. After telling a story, speakers might think, oh, I need to deliver this punchline correctly. Or how do I get my point across faster? Or how do I liven it up? How do I be more energetic? And once you actually have that conversation, it might seem very dull from what you originally planned. This is because you have direct access to how much better your conversation could have been or how much better your performance could have been. Oh man, last time I told this story, I did a better job. Or I can't believe I forgot that part. Basically, you're able to compare the last time you told that story to when you just told it to the new person. But the thing is, the other person didn't hear you tell that story to someone else. They're not able to compare it to anything. Only you are. People that are listening to you speak are not thinking that way. They liked your punchline. They liked your energy. They liked the way you speak. They felt like you got your point across. And they think everything that you said and the way you delivered it was perfectly fine. Basically, you are your biggest critic. And that really just comes down to you wanting to be in improving yourself. But that prevents you from seeing how other people truly see you. In your head, you're like stammering and you're trying to figure out what the next word to say is. But the thing is, the person you're talking to is not in your mind. So they don't know what you're going through. Another thing, we tend to overestimate how much our feelings are on display to others. I promise you, your nervousness is not being shown as much as you think it is. You might be feeling this nervousness right before your presentation, but once you get up there, a lot of times people cannot tell. People feel like their social awkwardness is on display for the entire world to see. It's not. Now, you know me, I always try to give you guys advice on how to overcome a lot of these social interactions and social anxiety in relationships. So, of course, I'm gonna give you some advice and some tips on how to overcome the liking gap. Number one, remind yourself that the liking gap exists. A lot of times we wish we could do better. We want to do better. We want to improve. But remember, people tend to like you a lot more than you think. Number two, take action. If you don't hear back from that colleague or from that interview or from that new person that you met, call them, text them, like, hey, I really enjoyed our conversation. I really enjoyed our time together. We should really do it again. And I'm pretty sure they'll contact you back and say, I would really like to hang out with you again. They're probably busy thinking the same thing about you. Oh, they probably didn't like me. They're not going to text me. So you take that initiative. Now that you've watched my video, you know. Put yourself out there and make the first move. There's a high chance that you'll get a positive response back. Number three, remember the positive feedback loop. Tell the person that you went on a date with how much of a great time you've had with them. You're missing out on great relationships. Tell your colleague that you thought their presentation was outstanding, that they did a great job. If they really did do a good job, like, don't be like lying to them. We are really out here being so self-critical of ourselves for no reason. I want you to remember, the next time that you are criticizing yourself or thinking that you're not doing good enough, I want to let you know that science says that you are giving yourself less credit than you deserve. I promise you, you are more liked than you think you are. They love you, baby. They love you. Get out of your head. And don't forget, you actually know a lot more than you really think. You might think, oh, this person probably thinks I'm stupid, and they're probably thinking, wow, this person's really smart and really intelligent. But part of what makes conversations so difficult is that you don't know what the other person is thinking of you. So you tend to use your thoughts as substitutes. Oh, they hated me. They didn't give me eye contact for that long. They didn't smile at my joke. They must hate me. I promise you, your thoughts are a lot more negative than reality. And if you're unsure of what someone else thinks of you, just ask them, hey, I had a great time today. Did you have fun? And there's a big chance that they liked you more than you really thought. And guess what? If they didn't, and you care, then go watch my video on how not to people please. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to turn on that notification bell. I post every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Central Time. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and with love.